Okay, so I will share my screen. All right. Course in Miracles, chapter 30, Beyond All Idols. Idols are quite specific, but your will is universal, being limitless. And so it has no form, nor is content for its expression in the terms of form. Idols are limits. They're the belief that there are forms that will bring happiness, and that by limiting is all attained. It is as if you said, I have no need of everything. This little thing I want, and it will be as everything to me. And this must fail to satisfy, because it is your will that everything be yours. Decide for idols and you ask for loss. Decide for truth and everything is yours. It is not form you seek. What form can be substitute for God the Father's love? What form can take the place of all the love and the divinity of God the Son? What idol can make two of what is one? And can the limitless be limited? You do not want an idol. It is not your will to have one. It will not bestow on you the gift you seek. When you decide upon the form of what you want, you lose the understanding of its purpose. So you see your will within the idol, thus reducing it to a specific form. Yet this could never be your will, because what shares in all creation cannot be content with small ideas and little things. Behind the search for every idol lies the yearning for completion. Wholeness has no form because it is unlimited. To seek a special person or a thing to add to you to make yourself complete can only mean that you believe some form is missing. And by finding this, you will achieve completion in a form you like. This is the purpose of an idol, that you will not look beyond it to the source of the belief that you are incomplete. Only if you had sinned could this be so. For sin is the idea you are alone and separated off from what is whole. And thus it would be necessary for the search for wholeness to be made beyond the boundaries of limits on yourself. It never is the idol that you want, but what you think it offers you, you want indeed and have the right to ask for. Nor could it be possible it be denied. Your will to be complete is but God's will, and this is given you by being his. God knows not form. He cannot answer you in terms that have no meaning, and your will could not be satisfied with empty forms, made but to fill a gap that is not there. It is not this you want. Creation gives no separate person and no separate thing the power to complete the Son of God. What idol can be called upon to give the Son of God what he already has? Completion is the function of God's Son. He has no need to seek for it at all. Beyond all idols stands his holy will to be but what he is. For more than whole is meaningless. If there were change in him, if he could be reduced to any form and limited to what is not in him, he would not be as God created him. What idol can he need to be himself? For can he give a part of him away? What is not whole cannot make whole, but what is really asked for cannot be denied. Your will is granted, not in any form that would content you, not, but in the whole, completely lovely thought God holds of you. Nothing that God knows not exists. And what he knows exists forever, changelessly. For thoughts endure as long as does the mind that thought of them. And in the mind of God, there is no ending, nor a time in which his thoughts were absent or could suffer change. Thoughts are not born and cannot die. They share the attributes of their creator, nor have they a separate life apart from his. The thoughts you think are in your mind, as you are in the mind which thought of you. And so there are no separate parts in what exists within God's mind. It is forever one, eternally united and at peace. Thoughts seem to come and go. Yet all this means is that you are sometimes aware of them and sometimes not. An unremembered thought is born again to you when it returns to your awareness. Yet it did not die when you forgot it. It was always there, but you were unaware of it. The thought God holds of you is perfectly unchanged by your forgetting. It will always be exactly as it was before the time when you forgot, and will be just the same when you remember. And it is the same within the interval when you forgot. The thoughts of God are far beyond all change and shine forever. They await not birth. They wait for welcome and remembering. The thought God holds of you is like a star, unchangeable in an eternal sky. So high in heaven is it set that those outside of heaven know not it is there. Yet still and white and lovely will it shine through all eternity. There was no time it was not there, no instant when its light grew dimmer or less perfect ever was. Who knows the Father knows this light, for he is the eternal sky that holds it safe, forever lifted up and anchored sure. Its perfect purity does not depend on whether it is seen on earth or not. The sky embraces it and softly holds it in its perfect place, which is as far from earth as earth from heaven. It is not the distance nor the time that keeps the star invisible to earth, but those who seek for idols cannot know the star is there. Beyond all idols is the thought God holds of you, completely unaffected by the turmoil and the terror of the world, the dreams of birth and death that here are dreamed, the myriad of forms that fear can take, quite undisturbed. The thought God holds of you remains exactly as it always was, surrounded by a stillness so complete no sound of battle comes remotely near. It rests in certainty and perfect peace. Here is your one reality kept safe, completely unaware of all the world that worships idols and that knows not God, in perfect sureness of its changelessness and of its rest in its eternal home. The thought God holds of you has never left the mind of its creator, whom it knows, as its creator knows that it is there. Where could the thought God holds of you exist but where you are? Is your reality a thing apart from you and in a world which your reality knows nothing of? Outside you, there is no eternal sky, no changeless star, and no reality. The mind of heaven's Son in heaven is, for there the mind of Father and of Son joined in creation, which can have no end. You have not two realities, but one, nor can you be aware of more than one. An idol or the thought God holds of you is your reality. Forget not, then, that idols must keep hidden what you are, not from the mind of God, but from your own. The star shines still. The sky has never changed. But you, the Holy Son of God himself, are unaware of your reality. Dun, dun, dun. Good to have you here, Eric.
So how do you like that physics, huh?
I know, right? It kind of reminds me of that out of body experience I had when I did that meditation and I didn't expect to have it. And I jumped into this dark place and I just saw all these lights. And it kind of was a nice description of where those are all the thoughts of God, right? Still where they always have been, but just not in our reality when we are thinking of an idol. Right, back to that beginning, back to that still place of being one with the mind of God, the mind of oneness.
It was a theory for a long time that all time exists at the same time. So that's been a theory for a long time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, there's more to it that now, in fact, that not only does time exist always, and now, in fact, it seems that everything exists always. It's pretty hard to understand because we have short lives compared to always, so that's pretty hard to understand. But it doesn't mean that things don't physically change. That doesn't mean that. What it means is that everything actually exists from the beginning of time to the end of time. However, it may change during the course of that time as far as your experience of it. But your experience is different from the existence of reality. Reality outside of yourself is as you may probably guess, is disconnected from the truth. So it's a distortion of miracle impulses is the way I would describe it. But also, still, everything that comes into existence actually always exists. So the change here of undoing the past to eliminate the idea of that there's separated past, present, and future. This is what causes time not to be actually move. So time doesn't actually change from anything. Nothing actually changes in time in reality either. So in reality, there's only one eternal moment.
It's the now.
It is. Yeah. It is. You would describe it as the now, but actually, it's not even the now. It's eternal. Yeah. Actually, there's no such thing as now either. Now, the way we think about it, yes, there has to be a now. You're right. But in reality, there's no separation of past, present, and future.
Yeah, but the only thing that really exists is just the present moment.
That's, yeah. The more we say it, then the more we get the idea we know what we're talking about, but actually we don't.
Yeah, exactly. Never know what we're talking about.
Exactly. Yes. So that's come out recently as some people once they get tenure and once they're satisfied that they're not going to get fired for doing some weird stuff, finally look into the actual real facts of what's really happening.
But then again, according to A Course in Miracles, the only thing that is real is being united with that one mind of God, right?
Yes, that's where it's all seemingly moving to. Yes,
right.
That's basically what that whole concept is explaining. Is right. The now is the future as in the past. Everything is just one. We're all one. Everything is one.
Mm-hmm. And getting back to not the idea of there's no need to seek for idols to complete ourselves, right? Because we are complete and perfect and we are everything. So why would we ever want more than everything? Why would we look to complete ourselves with something less than we are, which is perfect, complete, and whole?
Right.
All right. Any other comments or thoughts before we continue into the truth behind illusions? All right, let's keep going. All right, the truth behind illusions. You will attack what does not satisfy, and thus you will not see you made it up. You always fight illusions, for the truth behind them is so lovely and so still in loving gentleness. Were you aware of it, you would forget defensiveness entirely and rush to its embrace. The truth could never be attacked, and this you knew when you made idols. They were made that this might be forgotten. You attack but false ideas. and never truthful ones. All idols are the false ideas you made up to fill the gap you think arose between yourself and what is true. And you attack them for the things you think they represent. What lies beyond them cannot be attacked. The wearying, dissatisfying gods you made are blown up children's toys. A child is frightened when a wooden head springs up as a closed box is opened suddenly, or when a soft and silent woolly bear begins to squeak as he takes hold of it. The rules he made for boxes and for bears have failed him and have broken his control of what surrounds him. And he is afraid because he thought the rules protected him. Now must he learn that boxes and the bears did not deceive him, broke no rules, nor mean his world is made chaotic and unsafe. He was mistaken. He misunderstood what made him safe and thought that it had left. The gap that is not there is filled with toys in countless forms, and each one seems to break the rules you set for it. It never was the thing you thought. It must appear to break your rules for safety, since the rules were wrong. But you are not endangered. You can laugh at popping heads and squeaking toys, as does the child who learns they are no threat to him. Yet, while he likes to play with them, he still perceives them as obeying rules he made for his enjoyment. So there still are rules that they can seem to break and frighten him. Yet, is he at the mercy of his toys? And can they represent a threat to him? Reality observes the laws of God and not the rules you set. It is his laws that guarantee your safety. All illusions that you believe about yourself obey no laws. They seem to dance a little while according to the rules you set for them, but then they fall and cannot rise again. They are but toys, my child, so do not grieve for them. Their dancing never brought you joy, but neither were they things to frighten you nor make you safe if they obeyed your rules. They must be neither cherished nor attacked, but merely looked upon as children's toys without a single meaning of their own. See one in them, and you will see them all. See none in them, and they will touch you not. Appearances deceive because they are appearances and not reality. Dwell not on them in any form. They but obscure reality, and they bring fear because they hide the truth. Do not attack what you have made to let you be deceived, for thus you prove that you have been deceived. Attack has power to make illusions real, yet what it makes is nothing. Who could be made fearful by a power that can have no real effects at all? What could it be but an illusion making things appear like it's to itself? Look calmly at its toys and understand that they are idols, which but dance to vain desires. Give them not your worship, for they are not there. Yet this is equally forgotten in attack. God's Son needs no defense against his dreams. His idols do not threaten him at all. His one mistake is that he thinks them real. What can the power of illusions do? Appearances can but deceive the mind that wants to be deceived. And you can make a simple choice that will forever place you far beyond deception. You need not concern yourself with how this will be done, for this you cannot understand. But you will understand that mighty changes have been quickly brought about when you decide one very simple thing. You do not want whatever you believe an idol gives. For thus the Son of God declares that he is free of idols, and thus is he free. Salvation is a paradox indeed. What could it be except a happy dream? It asks you but that you forgive all things that no one ever did, to overlook what is not there, and not to look upon the unreal as reality. You are but asked to let your will be done and seek no longer for the things you do not want. You are asked to let yourself be free of all the dreams of what you never were, and seek no more to substitute the strength of idle wishes for the will of God. Here does the dream of separation start to fade and disappear. For here, the gap that is not there begins to be perceived without the toys of terror that you made. No more than this is asked. Be glad indeed, salvation asks so little, not so much. It asks for nothing in reality, and even in illusions, it but asks forgiveness be the substitute for fear. Such is the only rule for happy dreams. The gap is emptied of the toys of fear, and then its unreality is plain. Dreams are for nothing, and the Son of God can have no need of them. They offer him no single thing that he could ever want. He is delivered from illusions by his will, and but restored to what he is. What could God's plan for his salvation be except a means to give him to himself? I thought that was worded well. What do you think, Alicia?
There was a lot in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, I find myself, my mind kind of wandering as this is being read, because something in there will resonate with me, and then my head goes to another place, and then I have to reel myself back in to like pay attention to what she's reading now.
Yeah.
But I have mind wandering syndrome today.
Yeah.
And that happened probably 5 times while you were reading, because all of this, it basically is just coming back to the realization that absolutely everything that we think we want, we really don't, because it's all idolatry.
Yeah.
Everything. And the fact that, you already have everything. I mean, it just, you look around and it just manifests itself in different ways for different people. But then like, well, we're all one. And then I got sidetracked on thinking about how simple this is, but how complex it is, and how many things there are to know about the foundation of ACIM before you can remotely begin to grasp this. And then I think about the people that I have spent a lot of time with in my life here in rural Shenango County. And I'm like, and not to be condescending, but it makes me sad in a way that there's many that I question if there's the capacity there to have a level of understanding that would allow them to live, to find their path of peace or whatever. There's just so much drama, and people get caught up in it. And then, they're vibrating here, but they don't recognize that things could be different. So again, it's this barrage of thoughts. But at the end of the day, like you've always said, Terry, there's only one person that needs to get it, and that's you.
Yeah.
So that's my mishmash for the day.
Yeah. And all the people that are in your life are projections of your thoughts, right? So they're there to help you learn. They're not there to learn themselves. According to your experience here and your dream that you're dreaming, they're all there to help you, all your brothers and sisters. And maybe the lesson is, don't try to fix them or change them. Just allow them to walk their path and just be love.
There's
Right,
a full recognition that there's no point.
Of course, but even the desire, right? Even the desire to want them to walk a different path, right? Instead of just.
No, and I don't even think that's a fair statement, because it's just knowing how much that this has helped me, and I see them enmeshed in their drama. And I was just like, if only I was able to take off this, you could see this through a different set of goggles and recognize fully that what you're believing is not true. So again, I have no desire to change anybody else. It's hard enough just working on me. And, but like I said, it's just something that, because I found it helpful, I wish that for them,
Right.
and you can't make it happen.
You know, it's interesting too, because Carl and I were talking about, we're both doing the lessons again from the
Me
beginning.
too.
That was
I
like,
started yesterday.
yeah, that was like part of our New Year's thing. And I can see those first two lessons in what we just read, right?
Yeah.
Everything I see means nothing is the first lesson, right? And the second lesson is I've given meaning to everything I see, right? Which is part of idolatry. You know, I've given meaning to all of these people, things, situations, body parts, creatures, whatever. So it's great to do and they seem so simplistic, which is what Carl and I were saying is, gosh, they seem so simple, but it has to start with the simplicity of it all, right? Because it is simple. It's not easy, but it's really simple, right? Hi, Carol, good to have you join us today.
There's so much to unravel.
Hi,
Hi, Carol.
hi, thank you.
So much to unravel from everything that we've been, indoctrinated, or our life experiences that affect us in different ways, or that and basically the things that you think about yourself. For me personally, there's been so many things that I've really believed on some level that I recognize are not true. And it's a process to shake those untruths, if that's the way you've thought about yourself for 60 years. So it's interesting.
Right.
And it is. It's either peeling, the analogy is either peeling the layers back of the onion or unraveling the ball of yarn, or however you want to look at it. But
yeah. Absolutely. Any other discussion based on what we just read? Carol, we are on chapter 30. Let me move my kitty. I have to tell you where we're at. She just sat on my book. Chapter 30, I think we just read on page 633, the truth behind illusions. So our next will be section 5, the only purpose.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, let me continue.
Before you go,
Oh, go ahead.
but one of the things that kind of like, I'm not even sure, but because it talks about the idols, right?
Mhm.
And we can make, and this is going, I don't know where this is going, but here it goes. So can we be making this God thing an idol as well?
Sure. Because what is this God thing?
Right.
Right? Aren't
Exactly.
you God? Aren't you the mind of God? Right?
That's right. If we're one with it.
It doesn't exist apart from us.
I know that line there in paragraph 7, salvation is a paradox indeed.
Right? That's great. It's great that you caught that.
Well, I mean, it just stuck out at me, I'm thinking, because this is a big discussion that has come around quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What is this thing that we believe to be God, the power, spirit, Christ, Jesus, all the other entities that have kind of, Krishna, the Buddha thing, and these are all idols.
Right.
It's also the power of the mind. So your mind is able to do all that. Your true mind is able to put you into a dream, separate everybody from you, believe that there's somebody else other than you. That whole thing is all you're doing. Wonder for you, Ernesto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were meant to be idols, but in our, shall we say, inexperienced or young mind, or whatever you want to call it, that was our level of understanding at the time. And so now we've evolved or are evolving to higher levels of understanding, and therefore becoming more open to our connection and recognizing that they were in fact just way showers of what we also could do as we become more open to it. But each level is at the level of doing it perfectly with the consciousness, with the cognitive abilities that we had at that point of recognizing who we truly are. And those way showers showed us, if you will, that we could do it, revealed a path that we didn't know existed until then. But rather than making them an idol, we're now becoming aware that that is what they were, and not someone more special than we who could do things that we only admired and thought of as miracles. So that's kind of where we are, in my opinion.
I think it's nice to look at things positively, but what we really do is we really point out things we don't like. Things are not true. I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that. That's what we really do. But I think it's a good idea, though, to start to say, okay, all that has to be reversed somehow. And I don't know how to do that myself. So if I'm going to see the reversal of all that, then how is it possible that all that can be reversed? So it goes back together properly instead of that things are seemingly still separated. If this is separated from that, then I'm in the wrong world still.
I think what came out to me too, and some of the things you're saying, Mary, which is really interesting, is when we talk about way showers, we talk about them as if they are other than us, right? And in truth, it's all us. So in truth, we are the way showers. So who's everybody else observing the way shower, right? Who's everybody else observing Jesus? Who's everybody else observing, the people who have become enlightened, right? It's all part of that one mind that we are all a part of. So I think, again, it goes back to when we think that we're not evolved enough, it's almost like, again, we're telling ourselves that we lack completion, that we're not enlightened enough. And so how do we get to that place where we say, I am God, I am the one mind, and we just accept that completion that is us, instead of seeing ourselves as not there yet and not quite enlightened yet. And I'm just asking the question because I've done the same thing, right? But it's interesting because we see ourselves as an opposite of those who know. But in truth, we do know. In truth, it is in us, and we have never been separate from that one mind of God. So I'm just a thought, just putting it out there as a thought, if anybody wants to comment or not, or continue. I'm sure
it's always been that way, and we just forgot. Like, what on earth would make you want to forget your oneness with everything?
Fear.
That tiny mad idea when we forgot to laugh, right?
Yeah, but who the hell's idea was it to not laugh? I mean, come on. Again, it comes back. So why? If our thoughts and our egos and all of this stuff that we're talking about, the illusory, the hold that the illusion has on the way you see everything, like, it causes misery.
Right.
It's not the situations, it's your thoughts about the situations, yada, 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 yada. Why the hell would we stay there when it brings us unhappiness? That's the part that blows my mind.
And I guess that's the question that has to be asked. There must be another way, right? That's the question that has to be asked so that the mind can be open, so that you can ask the Holy Spirit to show you what is the other way. And if we can't get there because our mind is so separated and aligned with fear, we can at least stop and we can ask for help.
So why don't you really want to see your creations is what you really want to know. Why do you not want to look at your creations? Your creations, like Jesus's creations, like anyone else's creations, are dear to you, yet you don't want to look at them. Why is that?
Is that a specific question, Eric, to somebody?
No,
me?
just to the group in general, like
Okay.
yourself. I know for a fact that I'm not this, I'm not that. But why is that more important than what really I am? Why is that more important than really what I would like to be always in my heart? What God put there always in my heart is perfect. Why would I want something else?
Right. And why do we not
Creations
think
are
complete?
important to me, and I know this is true, but my true creations should be, in a sense, more true to me. But that's not how things work. There's no such thing as more or less. So a creation is a creation in our mind, and our mind is it's made, in a sense, to be always wanting what it is. So it wants what it is, and its creations are what it is. It wants that. But on the other hand, there's this physical reality that separates information, which is physical, from matter, which is physical, from form, all other forms, which are physical. And now the truth about this content, about who really I am, which is in my heart, is separated from my mind. My mind is still exploring the idea that I'm everything, but my heart knows that the truth about it is I'm not what is separated from anything else that's separated. My heart knows that in truth. So my mind keeps on saying that I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that. And my heart says I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. They're at war with each other. The right brain and the left brain are at war with each other. The whole system of duality is one against the other. And that's what has to be reversed, the whole system of duality.
Yeah.
Duality is completely...
That first paragraph, again,
baffling.
go back to that 7, that line, paragraph 7, salvation is a paradox indeed. And then it asks the question, what could it be except a happy dream?
Well, yeah, but the question was in appearances. If appearances
it says what could it be except a happy dream? Asking the question, why can't you just be happy for no reason?
Why can't you be happy? Exactly. You can,
So I'll tell you about that
happiness. Exactly.
A little bit. I had a question asked of me a few weeks ago and a response that to me was fascinating, because I went through this medical procedure and they didn't find what they were sure they saw on preliminary tests. And a person said to me, wow, that's amazing. Can you really, have you really done that? Have you mastered that? Can you teach that? We can be, like touching your robes. It's just amazing. And I chuckled at that and said various things because I do not want to be seen as separate at all. But my realization came when I've talked to people about the real gift of being in that place of peace, of being in that place of contentment and joy every day, every choice, every time a choice comes up, of choosing that, being that, living that peace and joy. And that didn't seem to be as much of an option for at least this person and the other people in the group who nodded along, but the fact that I could manipulate some sort of physical thing that was, that has the word healing attached to it, that was like a source of excitement and miracle, shall we say. But the, achieving the gift of inner peace, everlasting, that state of being did not seem to be the gift that people thought was miraculous or wanted to latch onto. And I found that fascinating, that we don't even realize how attached we are to the physical, because once the mind is healed or awakened, shall we say, everything is possible because God is all. And so all is also the world that you are now in. And so it's only a matter of waking up or realizing more and more all of these gifts that you now possess and connecting to them. But the main gift for me is that peace and joy that I have in going through this world. And so I've said enough.
That is wonderful, Mary. What a great share. And we just read that, right? Didn't it just say, if you only knew the amount of joy, the feeling of joy that you could have if you were to experience your true self, right? You would never want anything else if you only knew your own completion. And you're right, Mary, people don't know it, and they don't think it could ever be as amazing and wonderful as it is, because all they know of, or all they remember currently, is the idols they've created. And they think that they need something or someone to complete themselves, and that's the only way they're going to feel that, even an ounce of that kind of joy, even though it's a part of the illusion because it's attached to an idol, right? But if we just let go of all idols and just went inside and connected to the truth of who we are and felt and experienced that joy of being pure love, we would never search outside of it for ourselves ever again. So thank you for sharing that from a firsthand experience. Appreciate that.
Emptiness seems a little too scary for all that. Stillness seems a little too scary for all that. So it's interesting when you have the experiences that you're talking about, that there's other perceptions that may interfere.
Yeah, there's fear.
The
Yes.
fear, yeah.
Right.
Fear. All right, shall we keep going, or does anybody else have something they want to share? Okay, let's keep going. The only purpose. Did I read that yet? Did I read this one yet? Or
No,
did
that's
we
it.
stop?
That's it. That's it.
Did we just read this, The Truth Behind Illusions, or did we stop?
No, we stopped at the question, what could God's plan for his salvation be except a means to give him to himself?
Okay, good. Sorry. I got a little distracted there.
No, it was good conversation.
Okay, good. All right, the only purpose. The real world is the state of mind in which the only purpose of the world is seen to be forgiveness. Fear is not its goal, for the escape from guilt becomes its aim. The value of forgiveness is perceived and takes the place of idols, which are sought no longer for their gifts, are not held dear. No rules are idly set, and no demands are made of anyone or anything to twist and fit into the dream of fear. Instead, there is a wish to understand all things created as they really are. And it is recognized that all things must be first forgiven and then understood. Here it is thought that understanding is acquired by attack. There it is clear that by attack is understanding lost. The folly of pursuing guilt as goal is fully recognized, and idols are not wanted there, for guilt is understood as the sole cause of pain in any form. No one is tempted by its vain appeal, for suffering and death have been perceived as things not wanted and not striven for. The possibility of freedom has been grasped and welcomed, and the means by which it can be gained can now be understood. The world becomes a place of hope, because its only purpose is to be a place where hope of happiness can be fulfilled. And no one stands outside this hope, because the world has been united in belief. The purpose of the world is one which all must share, if hope be more than just a dream. Not yet is heaven quite remembered, for the purpose of forgiveness still remains. Yet everyone is certain he will go beyond forgiveness, and he but remains until it is made perfect in himself. He has no wish for anything but this, and fear has dropped away, because he is united in his purpose with himself. There is a hope of happiness in him so sure and constant, he can barely stay and wait a little longer, with his feet still touching earth. Yet is he glad to wait till every hand is joined and every heart made ready to arise and go with him. For thus is he made ready for the step in which is all forgiveness left behind. The final step is God's, because it is but God who could create a perfect son and share his fatherhood with him. No one outside of heaven knows how this can be, for understanding this is heaven itself. Even the real world has a purpose still beneath creation and eternity, but fear is gone because its purpose is forgiveness, not idolatry. And so is heaven's Son prepared to be himself, and to remember that the Son of God knows everything his Father understands, and understands it perfectly with him. The real world still falls short of this, for this is God's own purpose, only his, and yet completely shared and perfectly fulfilled. The real world is a state in which the mind has learned how easily do idols go when they are still perceived but wanted not. How willingly the mind can let them go when it has understood that idols are nothing and nowhere and are purposeless. For only then can guilt and sin be seen without a purpose and as meaningless. Thus is the real world's purpose gently brought into awareness, to replace the goal of sin and guilt, and all that stood between your image of yourself and what you are. Forgiveness washes joyfully away. Yet God need not create his Son again, that what is his be given back to him. The gap between your brother and yourself was never there, and what the Son of God knew in creation, he must know again. When brothers join in purpose in the world of fear, they stand already at the edge of the real world. Perhaps they still look back and think they see an idol that they want. Yet has their path been surely set away from idols toward reality. For when they joined their hands, it was Christ's hand they took, and they will look on him whose hand they hold. The face of Christ is looked upon before the Father is remembered, for he must be unremembered till his Son has reached beyond forgiveness to the love of God. Yet is the love of Christ accepted first, and then will come the knowledge they are one. How light and easy is the step across the narrow boundaries of the world of fear when you have recognized whose hand you hold. Within your hand is everything you need to walk with perfect confidence away from fear forever, and to go straight on and quickly reach the gate of heaven itself. For he whose hand you hold was waiting but for you to join him. Now that you have come, would he delay in showing you the way that he must walk with you? His blessing lies on you as surely as his Father's love rests upon him. His gratitude to you is past your understanding, for you have enabled him to rise from chains and go with you together to his Father's house. An ancient hate is passing from the world, and with it goes all hatred and all fear. Look back no longer, for what lies ahead is all you ever wanted in your heart. Give up the world, but not to sacrifice. You never wanted it. What happiness have you sought here that did not bring you pain? What moment of content has not been bought at fearful price in coins of suffering? Joy has no cost. It is your sacred right. And what you pay for is not happiness. Be speeded on your way by honesty, and let not your experiences here deceive in retrospect. They were not free from bitter cost and joyless consequence. Do not look back except in honesty. And when an idol tempts you, think of this. There never was a time an idol brought you anything except the gift of guilt. Not one was bought except at cost of pain, nor was it ever paid by you alone. Be merciful unto your brother then, and do not choose an idol thoughtlessly, remembering that he will pay the cost as well as you, for he will be delayed when you look back, and you will not perceive whose loving hand you hold. Look forward then in confidence, walk with happy heart that beats in hope and does not pound in fear. The will of God forever lies in those whose hands are joined. Until they joined, they thought he was their enemy. But when they joined and shared a purpose, they were free to learn their will is one. And thus the will of God must reach to their awareness, nor can they forget for long that it is but their own.
One thing that struck me as you were reading, Terry, is that in so many spots, in a way, the book almost perpetuates the thought of us being separate. There's stuff that's talking about us and them and God and us. And it has anybody ever run across anything about Course in Miracles that perhaps is written in a way for the more advanced learner that puts it in a way that emphasizes the oneness instead of talking about us and them and your brothers and so on, that again, the verbiage reinforces the duality. I don't know.
What you're saying is we should create a Course in Miracles for Dummies book.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, they do say it's written this way on purpose so that, and think about it. How long have we been doing this? How long have we been doing this? How long have we been reading about the truth of understanding this? And still we choose fear.
That's exactly my point, is that if as you became a more advanced student of the course, if the way it was written really eliminated that us and them verbiage, it would be like, then I just feel like it would accelerate our understanding and our application.
It'd only be 2 pages long then.
Yeah, there you go.
I know.
You'll find some of that, though, in the Song of Prayer and in other parts where you're connected, and that's why it's a song, and it's not just this isolated time of prayer. It's your connection and communication with God or your higher self that creates a song in your heart, in your ever being. So it does kind of evolve into that, but we have a hard time making the shift and reading it as such. We always want to go back and say, what does this really mean? It said, we as one, or we are. It says that, and we always want to continue to separate it because that's how we feel we learn. When you start making that leap, as obviously you are, Alicia, you start getting that connection and then see that in the verbiage, even though it may not be fully reflected. See it as you go through the course, but if you start reading the later chapters or the lessons as they go through, it is less and less that you're separate, you're more joined together. You're still, and you can read separation into that as well, or you can read it as unity, as one wholeness that has individuations. So,
Yeah, thank you.
Good point, Mary. Thank you for sharing that.
I think also we need the happiness, the cooperation. So if happiness is the way out, then the cooperation of happiness is also necessary, because we don't want to leave each other behind, really. So, you need the happiness shared, and the happiness shared to be continuous. Duality still forces there to be a need for comparisons. So greater happiness. But greater happiness in this world means I have more or something like that. It doesn't mean I'm increasing in happiness. It means I'm trying to make happiness more separate, more different things. Having separate, more different things represents happiness in this world. Unfortunately, that's not the way that the law of God says increasing works. It's not increasing at all. It's still separation thinking.
I keep going back to before we learn language, where we're still toddlers, and we are very happy and very in a joyous state. And when we experience that today, if we're capable of having that experience, which I also had, my first thought was, this must be voodoo over here. I feel so good. Okay. That was my very first thought. And within that very thought, I said, wait a minute, but I'm feeling so good. How could this be bad? And I just let it go.
Sure, exactly.
That state is there around babies, and we gravitate towards them because we can feel that. We sense it. If you ever notice a little baby, everybody's like goo goo gaga over them. Or at least, my experience is because they feel that happy, they feel that joy that they bring.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is our, like you were saying, or somebody was saying, that is our true state.
Mm-hmm.
And we have separated ourselves from it through language, domestication, whatever. And it wasn't that it was a bad thing. It's just the way it happened. That's just what it is.
Right.
To recognize it for what it is, do all the illusionary stuff to forgive it, and work our way there, somehow work our way there, whether it's through ritual, whatever, and be careful that you don't get into some kind of cultish thing that's not good, but
We
if you,
get
but
hung
you
up on
know,
the erasure part of it. So the erasure
but
part of it is
you know that feeling. I think that drug addiction tries to get us there, but that's a synthetic form of being there. Maybe I don't even know if we can say that, but I think that's the search that a lot of addicts go through.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of addicts in my life. One of my best friends growing up was strung out on heroin at like 14.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
but if we could only recognize, and especially when you're around babies, just check it out. You're gonna feel that. You're gonna feel that from that baby. Everybody wants to hold them. Everyone's, it's one of those things you gravitate to that feeling. When you're among people who have studied, whatever it is that's make them feel this way, and you're in that group, you can feel that energy. You can feel that presence of joy within yourself as it permeates the room. It permeates everything. It's wonderful.
And you can get to that place too, through meditation. You can get to that place in nature. I feel that when I go for a walk on the beach, I feel that joy. I feel like, I think I mentioned it before, almost like this buzzing, this humming inside of my body, like I'm just like throwing glitter off of myself. It's just this amazing feeling of joy and oneness and completion. And you can get there if you put it into your practice, right? If you are conscious and aware. And I just wanted to add too that I did start posting all of the lessons. I started yesterday with the first lesson in Course in Miracles on my private Facebook group, Living A Course in Miracles. If anybody wants to do that journey with me, I'm open for discussion and all of that. And Alicia reached out to me and asked me where all of my YouTube videos were, because I did them all live a few years ago. And I sent her the link, and I also posted the link to all of my live videos in that group too, if anybody, wants to listen to them instead of, reading them. So I think, again, it's important to go through the lessons, to that undoing. We talked about peeling the onion, getting back to that true state of oneness with that one mind.
Do I really want the responsibility to do the cleaning and the erasure of what isn't true?
Right.
And then to be left alone to the fact of, I can't discuss this with you because now I am seeing myself in a different space. So these are very confusing things that we're asking ourselves to do, but we do have to see we have to see the elimination or the undoing of the data the way it's being used. It's sick the way it is. It isn't sick because of you or sick because of me. It's sick because of the separation thinking system.
I think
So-
one of the things that I struggle with the most is the guilt. Like, why did I waste so much time? I mean, I know everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be in that moment, but I can't help but have those intrusive thoughts like, oh my God, if only you had known this when you were 20. And I wasted so much time spinning my wheels or having this thought about this or this judgment about that, or that interaction with that person. And so again, it comes back to that forgiveness of self, the self-love, and understanding that in every moment you're right where you need to be in your core. And then it comes back to what you were saying, Eric, about there is no such thing as time, so all you have is the present moment. So then that's where you start, that's where you end, that's where everything happens. So,
and as we practice not shoulding on ourselves, or I have to,
Yep.
I need to, I'm supposed to, all of this stuff, as we learn to change our language and our focus to more positive things, it's like, I want to achieve this. God help me to be able to do that, and then proceed as small a bites or as big a bites as you feel like you can handle, and remembering that everything has value. And so then you stop, or you subside in labeling it as good or bad experiences. It all comes with a lesson, with a value, with a message, and you just keep your eye on that focus of what you would like to experience, not even the final destination, because that's done as soon as you apply the little willingness.
mhm.
But it's the willingness to experience that which you would like to, which would be in your highest good, and that will continue to awaken you, rather than thinking of all the things that this world makes as obstacles. See them all as exploration, if you will, to get
Yeah.
to where you're going.
But isn't that kind of idolatry too? Is to say, I want to do something. I find myself saying, well, that's not a bad idea, but what would possibly be the point? Because it's all illusory anyway, kind of thing. I catch myself doing that sometimes, which is also an obstacle.
Valuing the illusion. And that's what we tend to, when we tend to think of it as an illusion, we tend to devalue it. But the experience itself has value. The illusion is a change in perception.
But the experience has value. I love that. Yeah.
And all paths lead to God. Right? So it is all part of it. I see Eric has shared something with us.
My comprehension for the day.
There you go.
Peace
Awesome.
beyond all comprehension. God bless you. Happy New Year.
All right. Anybody have
Happy New
anything
Year.
else they want to add before we close? No?
My resolution is not to beat myself up.
There you go. Thank you,
We are
everyone,
the
for
world.
sharing. Yeah, great conversation. Always is so helpful in understanding all of these
Happy New Year.
concepts.
Happy New Year, everybody.
All right,
Happy New Year.
thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.